there's so many wrong things that are going on in the real estate industry, and we can get into that another day. But we have got to do a better job of educating newer agents, not only on the skill side, but you got to teach them how to run a business, because that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We're running a business. And there's a lot of pros to running a business versus just fly by night. Hey, I'm going to sell a deal here, sell a deal here. You got tax. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to treat this like a business. I mean, for me, I'd like to get out one day. I don't want to be on crutches, in a wheelchair at 70, wheeling around. You know what I mean? I need exit plans, right?
We've seen them.
Yeah, we've seen them. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've seen them. I'm not going to drop names, but I mean, yeah, when I was running Coldwell, it was sad to me, because great agents didn't have an out. Great agents still had to do this.
What causes that?
I think in the particular situation that I'm talking about, it was fear, and I don't want to take it on.
Welcome back to the Pursuit of Property podcast. We are sitting here with a guest we've been trying to get on the pod for close to a year. Is that right?
Damn near, if not more.
And you may notice, if you're watching the YouTube video, that we have some glasses in front of us with a clear liquid. And that's because our guest made a special request that the only way to get him on the pod was to have a bottle of Casamigos ready to go. So without further ado, we have on Danny Grubb.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you.
So genuinely.
So excited to be here at 9 a.m. drinking Casamigos with my two boys.
Danny,
No, serious. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you.
we're pumped to have you, dude. For people who don't know you, who's Danny Grubb? What do you do?
That's a loaded question. Simple. I would say I started, started in real estate back in 2010, sold real estate. 2010, 2018, maybe 19. That's when I started opening the team, Grubb Realty Group. We've got 4 or 5 of us there. So we've got the team that sells real estate. And then I would say the passion also for me would be on the investment side. Love real estate investing, but love just real estate as a whole, whether it's lending, wholesale, flips, any of it. I love it. That's what really drew me to real estate. And then the sales was kind of, hey, this is fun too. Let's go chase this and see where it lands.
What did your entry into real estate look like? Were you doing anything before? Did you hop right into real estate? Tell us about kind of that segue into getting started.
Yeah. So just real quick, I grew up in Southern California, came up here to play baseball, as you boys know.
Yep.
Played from 2000, God, this is going to age me, 2005 to 2009. Graduated in 2009, 4.5 years. Shout out. Yep. Most baseball guys can't get that done. So
There you go. You're no dummy.
Yeah, I'm no dummy. I'm not smart, but I'm no dummy. Okay, so that was a huge win for us. My mom, being in education, was very proud of her son. So anyways, graduated 2009-ish. I think it took me 4.5 years, I think. And then I went and worked in ag sales for a year. Now, boys, you know me. I'm a suit and tie kind of guy. I'm a Casamigos. I'm a cigar guy. Okay. I was not meant for tight jeans and boots and flannels. Like, not my deal.
I don't see you getting dirty.
But it was not my thing. First day out.
You see those fingernails? Freshly manicured, bro. Come on.
First day out, hit a dairy. I go, what the fuck is this smell? People do. What are we doing here? This is awful. So I did that for a year because I was dating somebody at the time. Dad owned the business, so I was trying to be one of those kiss-ass kids. Worked hard, learned a lot of stuff, no doubt. Did that for a year. Also worked down south on the weekends. So I did, in a year, I wasn't getting paid a lot. So that year I would work Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to like 6 p.m. and this was down in Travers. So I was driving, what is that, 45 minutes there and back. So I'd leave at 5:30, get there, do my thing, drive back, get home at 7, sleep, do it all over again. So I did that for a year. And then on the weekends, so right when I got done working Friday night, I drove to Southern California, and I worked half a day Saturday for a family. And that was driving around everywhere, all the way from San Diego to Santa Barbara, all the way up into the valley. And I did that. That was about a 5-hour day. Would get in the car after doing all of that to drive home Saturday night, basically sleep all day Sunday and back at it. So I did that for a year, and I just said, I can't do this anymore. Meanwhile, when all that was going on, I was getting my real estate license and ended up passing the test. I think it was in like October. And then I quit November 1, got into real estate right after that.
Right during the crash.
Yeah, that was bad. I mean, that was really bad. That was like 2010 of November. So yeah, I figured, look, man, if I'm going to make it now, hopefully I can make it forever, because it was ugly.
Why did you like real estate?
It was kind of funny. My dad was always a real estate guy. He always owned real estate. He never sold real estate, or, he wasn't a broker by any means, but had a couple of commercial buildings and, other property. And he just said, hey man, I think this would be good for you. And so I didn't plan on doing it full time. I just got my license on the side, and I figured, hey, I, played baseball here. I've got some people, contacts, if they ever need me, I can help with that. And then I got in it. I like I said, in that November timeline, and first 6 months were awful. But after that, I did 0 deals in the first 6 months. And then the next 6 months I did 11. And I told myself I'd give myself a year full time. And if I could make it work in a year, that's how much, that was the amount of funds I had. I could live on a year with no income. That's how much I had saved. And so I said, look, I'm 21, 22 years old. I've got no overhead. I just bought a house. That was really my only payment. I had 3 guys living with me, so they, that covered it. So I said, I'm going to give it a year. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll go to plan B. And here we are, 13 years later.
And after that year, why decide on a team? Why decide on building a team, putting yourself in that leadership role, as opposed to just, wheeling and dealing deals yourself?
Yeah. So actually the team thing, it's funny. The group will laugh at this. I actually had no intention of doing a team. It kind of just came to fruition over the years. So, I was a full-time agent from 2010 to 2000. I don't know, 16, maybe, just selling real estate. I had one assistant, and that was it. And that was when I was at Coldwell Banker. Did that for 6 years. Then I think Brandon bounced out around that time to open up Iron Key. It was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was open in 17.
Okay. So in 16, we had heard, I think it was like Christmas time. I don't remember, but anyways, long story short, I think, so Brandon left. He was our manager. He left and opened up shop at Iron Key, and we didn't have a manager. And so Aram and I and the guys were sitting around like, hey, what are we going to do? And I remember Mehmet, who is a good friend, Mehmet owns the building that we were in. George came into town, who was our principal broker, and said, hey, I don't have anybody. And Mehmet's like, yeah, you do. He's sitting in the office right now. And George is like, who are you talking about? And he's like, Danny, that's your next guy. Meanwhile, I'm like 26 now. I'm like, I'm not your next guy. Like, I don't want to do this. So anyways, long story short, George came and approached me. We were all doing a team meeting. I think it was at like Mimi's Cafe or something. And he's like, hey, look, we're going to find somebody, blah, blah. So we're heading over there. And on the drive over, he's like, hey, you want the job? And I'm like, huh? No, I don't want this. No, I saw what Brandon did. I don't want to do this. So anyways, long story short, we did the breakfast, found out that everybody was going to kind of hang around and not go over to Iron Key, because you know how that goes.
Yeah,
I mean,
manager leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, dude, I don't want to rebuild this thing. I mean, we got a good gig going. I'm selling, 65, 70 homes a year. That was when Aram and I were kind of going back and forth, and we had a lot of fun doing that. I was like, hey, I'm having fun. 25, 26 years old. I don't have any responsibility other than buying real estate and, selling real estate. And this is good. I like this. So anyways, Mehmet pulled me aside, and Mehmet's became, at this time, he's now a mentor, right? I mean, this guy, if you don't know Mehmet, and he flies under the radar, so he's probably going to hopefully never see this, because I might lose my mentor, but he came in, he's like, this is an opportunity for you. Whether it's temporary or not, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot. And so when he says something, you do it. And so I did. I managed for 5 years, and I'm going to get to your question real quick here. So managed for 5 years, ended up, it was just too much. We had Madera, Fresno. I think I had 85 agents at the time, and producing agents. We probably had 45, 50 producing agents, which, that goes, that was pretty good numbers. And I was still selling at the time. So I'm getting burnt out, man. I'm doing 50 deals a year. I'm managing. And then, of course, my dumb ass opened a property management company at the same time, because I thought I could just do everything. So I opened up property management at the time, finally sold that off, because I was like, I'm going to go crazy doing this. And so when I got out of management, I went back into sales at Coldwell Banker. Just said, hey, I'm just going to sell back. I'm just going to sell again. That's what I want to do. And I remember 2 or 3 of the agents that were in the office were like, we need kind of your role, your leadership role. Have you ever thought about starting a team? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And so anyways, long story short, I went to the Mike Ferry, or I went to his deal in Vegas, and my coach was there. I said, hey, this is the situation. This is what they want me to do. I'm thinking about opening a team. What do you think? She's like, I don't see any downside to this. You've already done it on a much larger platform. You can pick and choose your agents. You can do it how you want. I don't see any reason why you don't. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You go back to plan A, which was selling real estate and, making decent amount of money. So that's how it came about. I came back from Vegas. Mackenzie Baxter was the first phone call, because she was the one pushing it the hardest. I said, all right, Kens, here we go. And then 2 days later, Nick calls me. I'm like, all right, might as well. And then it just kind of steamrolled from there. And then I realized that I couldn't have the structure in place at Coldwell to financially have it make sense to run a team there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so that's when I made the jump to Real in January of this year to free up some funds for them to get paid more, and to be, and then also get them more investing in, there's a lot of reasons why we made the move, but that was the ultimate reason. Was there was no structure at Coldwell Banker to be able to have a team like that.
Yeah. And one thing I admire is that you haven't just let selling a lot of real estate just be the only thing you do. You own property too. When did that come into the equation?
Yeah. So that actually came day of. So I got my real estate license, 2010 November. I think the first house I bought was 2009, my primary. I bought that, and then 3 months later, I bought my first investment property. 3 months after that, I bought my second investment property. And I said, this is sweet.
How did you know to buy investment property?
I didn't. It was pure, are these deals this good?
Well, talk us through the first one that you did. Because to me,
yeah,
that blows my mind. I was in a group that was telling us, and Cade was too. They were telling us buy investment properties, and it took us well over a year before we pulled the trigger.
Yeah, no, I pulled the trigger 3 months after I got my license, 3 or 4 months after I got my license. So anyways, the first house, I didn't have my license when I got it. So I ended up going through an agent and getting that house. So that doesn't really count. Those, it is what it is. I live there, whatever. The first investment property, it was actually Maurice Gonzalez. God bless Maurice, right?
Mo money, baby.
Mo money. I love you, baby. I love you, honey. You're my dog. You'd be drinking tequila with me right now if you were here. Maurice called. I don't even know how this came about, but Maurice is a savvy investment
Smart guy.
He knows his stuff. He can sit here and do all that bullshit flame throwing stuff on his Instagram. And I'm calling you out, Maurice, but he deep down, that dude knows his stuff.
Yeah, he's smart.
I enjoy talking real estate with him, and so it was fun. So anyways, he calls me. He goes, "Hey, I got this property." It wasn't his. It actually had fallen out of escrow. He knew I was looking. He was at Coldwell at the time, and he's like, "Hey, this property just fell out of escrow as a banco, and it was God, I can't remember what. It was one of the FIFO Five Fund guys. I don't remember. Bill Fife. Who was it that was handling all the? You guys weren't even around. You were fucking 12 or 10.
We were in the third grade.
You're right. That's my bad. That's my bad, folks. So
Yeah, shame on us for not buying real estate in third grade.
I should have realized that they didn't have a bank account back then. Anyways, he had a lot of REOs, and it had just come back on the market. It was off 99 and 99 and sell 99 and hell. It was on Selland, off 99 and Shields. $53,000. Okay. Call my dad. Hey, I got this deal. I think it's good. I want you to just kind of look it over for me. He's like, okay. Calls me back, and he's like, I like the deal. Seems like a good deal. Needs a little bit of work. I'm like, well, it's a lot of money for me to put down. He starts laughing. Like full blown hysterically laughing when I'm telling I got to put 20% down on a $53,000 house. Like he can't, he had 12 cars that were worth more than the 53 grand at the time. So he's like, you're an idiot. Like just find a way to come up with, I think it was like $13,000 or $14,000. And the bank was giving me back money, which I don't even know if that's even allowed back, nowadays, because it was investment property. But anyways, that was the deal. Picked it up, 53 grand, rented it out for $900 a month. $900 a month. The day of, I'm not kidding you, the day I put the sign in the yard, $900 a month. I actually just sold it probably a year ago.
For how much?
I think that one sold for $295. $295. Wow. In it for 53. In it for 15. Over the years, cash flowed $500 a month. It was great cash flow. My mortgage was like $330. Mm-hmm. That was taxes, insurance, everything. Not to mention the rate was at 4%.
Yeah.
And so I did that. And I'm like, dude, I got to do more of these. I don't care if I'm eating ramen noodles for the next 6 years. I for whatever reason, I don't know why, it just kind of clicked for me. And there, I didn't have, aside from my dad, but he would just laugh at me when I'm telling him like, hey, I'm struggling with trying to come up with this kind of money. It was just funny to him.
And so you're buying rentals, you're selling deals. I guess I wanted to ask you this because you've dealt with more agents than Kate or I have. Like, why do you think most realtors don't take the jump and start buying investment properties for themselves?
I think it's the number one biggest mistake, in my opinion, being in it for 13 years now, 14 years, whatever it's been. It's the number one biggest mistake that agents do. And to be honest with you, I think the reason is, there's a couple of reasons. One, their income is not, I'm trying to find the right word for it. You're seeing a lot of yo-yo income.
Yeah.
Right? January's slow, February's slow, March, April, boom, boom. Then we have a slow month, and then we have good months. The way to combat that is with cash flow. Okay? But if you don't know any better, they would rather have the $50,000, $60,000 in their bank account, let's say $100,000, whatever it is, in their bank account to cover the expenses that they're losing that month, instead of taking the $100,000, investing it in cash flowing income property, and then using that income to offset some of their expenses. And I'll tell you why. It's because from the people that I've talked to, it's this old adage that cash is king. It's this old adage. And I think that we were growing up on that. Even today, my dad, he's a huge advocate of buying real estate, but he's like, cash is king, cash is king. What fucking cash are we talking about? We're printing it, uncontrollably. The dollar value is dead. Let's just use it. You know what I mean? And that's a whole nother podcast that we can do. And we're going to need double tequilas for that one. But, so anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent, but I think for me, it was just like, hey, if I can have somebody paying me, right, to offset my expenses, I'm paying down a mortgage, I have the deductions, all of it. I studied really early guys that were more successful than me. And that's what they were doing. You know, it's like, if you want to get into stocks, who are you going to follow? I'm going to follow Warren Buffett, man. Like, why would you not? Right? So I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just wanted to create my own wheel and say, okay, this is what these guys are doing. I'm going to do this. You know what I mean? I'm 24 years old. I don't have answers to it yet, but they're doing it. I'm doing it. It's a blind faith deal. Because what do I have to lose? I'm 24 years old. You know, and somebody that wants to say, well, I'm 34 now, I got friends or I got family and kids and shit like that. Dude, I totally get that. That's a little bit different. Doesn't mean you can't do it. Like, do not use that as a crutch to create wealth for your family. If anything, I'd double down and say you owe it to your family to do it. Not to you. You owe it to your family, your kids, kids. That generational wealth, that's where it's going to come into play. So don't use that excuse. That's a horseshit excuse in my book.
Yeah, I think a reason that goes through my head is, one, a lack of education that plays into, I think the majority, when we talk about agents investing in real estate, it's the majority of them treating it as a hobby instead of running a business, which making that transition from, okay, this is, something I do part-time, or treating it as a hobby, or, just kind of going through the motions.
Yeah.
Instead of actually working on building a actual business. Yeah. And building their knowledge and education in order to make that jump.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so this is one of the things that I always there's so many wrong things that are going on in the real estate industry, and we can get into that another day. But we have got to do a better job of educating newer agents, not only on the skill side, but you got to teach them how to run a business, because that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We're running a business. And there's a lot of pros to running a business versus just fly by night. Hey, I'm going to sell a deal here, sell a deal here. You got tax. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you want to treat this like a business. I mean, for me, I'd like to get out one day. I don't want to be on crutches, in a wheelchair at 70, wheeling around. You know what I mean? I need exit plans, right?
We've seen them.
Yeah, we've seen them. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've seen them. I'm not going to drop names, but yeah, when I was running Coldwell, it was sad to me, because great agents didn't have an out. Great agents still had to do this.
What causes that?
I think in the particular situation that I'm talking about, it was fear, and I don't want to take it on.
Fear of what, though?
Fear of losing is the best way that the simplest way that I can do that.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they get jaded. And I'm not saying this as I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. The older agents have gone through some shit.
Yeah, they
right?
have.
And so they've seen it. They've sold back in 2008 when they sold, all their clients' properties, and they're seeing them lose millions and millions of dollars, right? They were there, and they can't get over that hump because they constantly think it's going to happen again. And so I think that when you have that mentality, it's really difficult. And so that's why you see people slow to make decisions. You see people slow to make their first investment. And I think that, that's the biggest concern, is that they don't have enough faith in themselves at the end of the day, is what it comes down to. Because let's say the market takes a epic shit in the next 12 months. We're still going to be here. We're going to figure it out, because you're treating it like a business. Your emotions are set aside. You're going to make quick decisions to get back on the offensive, right? You guys have the playbook. You know how to execute it. I always say, run the play. Run the play. That's like one of my favorite, mottos is come up with the play and run it. But you got to run it until the end. Otherwise, it's no good. So that's my spiel on that, is you got to trust yourself. You got to trust your gut. And look, guys, some are going to win and some are not.
Yeah,
I've got losers.
We've all lost.
I've got fucking losers. I've got great winners. I got a lot of fucking losers. But guess what? We're here and we're learning and we're growing.
Yeah.
That's why you guys have this podcast, right? I mean,
100%.
it's for people that want to get in, people that have gotten in, people that have, you get to hear these stories, man.
You don't even have the opportunity to get to the winners if you don't deal with some of the losers.
Yeah. I think that's so true.
My first deal, dude, I made like $6,000. We were supposed to make 40. I made 6, and there was a part of me that wanted to not do it again.
But guess what? 6 is still better than nothing.
And I've had deals where we lost. We've done podcasts where we lost 30 grand, right? Like, it's just part 100%. Of the game. That's why I try to explain to people, investing has a twinge of gambling, because there's things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
And so you're making very calculated decisions, but there's still some risk.
Yeah.
And you put out a good clip the other day about just, it's more risky to not do anything than it is to do something. I kind of also want to ask too, because I didn't know this about you, but you own stuff out of state. Like, that's a pretty big leap that most even agent investors don't make.
Yeah.
Like, so why did that even come up?
Yeah.
And what do you have?
Yeah. So I was, and kind of pigging off what you said, Kate. I have this quote that sits on my. It's not a quote. I mean, whatever you want to call it. The biggest fear that I have is being exactly where I'm at a year from today, and I just won't ever let it happen. I can't. So I think that for the investors that are kind of sitting there going, hey, for the people that are listening, wait it out. Don't wait it out. Don't wait it out. Okay. If anything, buy it and then wait it out. Right? That's where you're going to make your money. Buy it and wait it out. And it doesn't have to be a screaming deal, guys. Like, I can't tell you how many properties I bought at fair market value that are some of my best deals. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be 60% off. You know what I mean? So and I think that's kind of the issue. I get calls all the time. Hey, when are you going to get me, a good deal, dude? Come on. If that's the only time we're going to buy real estate, the market's going to just stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's difficult to do. And then you got 40 people. Yeah. Look, how about we just pay fair market value for the property, and then we sit and hold, we do improvements, we increase rents, right? We do all the things that we're supposed to do. We have the tax deductions, we create cash flow. We do that for 5 to 10 years. Then we are in a good position to sell and upgrade. Like, that's what this game is. I mean, there's a lot of games to it, right? But that is one of them. And that's long-term generational wealth, in my opinion. And I think you use flips. I think you use lending. I think you use sales. I think those are all basically drivers to get you to the end game.
What do you mean?
Meaning that, so if I'm looking at lending, flips, if I'm looking at these types of investments,
like short-term
in and out, that's income to me. That's not, hey, I'm growing wealth. Growing wealth is, all right, I'm going to buy 25, 40 units here. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fix these things up. I'm going to raise the rents. I'm going to cut back on the expenses. I'm going to let this thing play out for the next 3 to 5 years. I'm going to look at the valuation. I'm going to make sure I can write off all of the improvements before I sell it. Tax aggregate, going through all of that. And then if it's good, it's good. If not, I reset and I do another 3 to 5 years, right? Or sooner, it just depends on kind of what the market's doing. But I use the vehicles of the flips and the lending, the wholesale, the sales. All of those short-term deals are vehicles to put cash into these bigger deals.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I look at that. So people say there's only one way to invest in real estate. Bullshit. There's like 6 or 7 different ways that I've seen you guys get really good at that. You guys make your money on investing, and then you guys go and buy investments for yourself, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then you guys do sales as well and all these other things. Yeah. I mean, and it just, so it's a compound effect. I think as long as you're in the game every day and you're doing what you're supposed to do, there's a lot of opportunity. So anyways, back to the outside stuff. Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
I had 10 very good rentals here in the Central Valley, and they're good. Fourplex, couple of duplexes. Now, granted, I've bought and sold some stuff over the years, so I mean, I think I was at 10 or 12 when I made the decision to get out of state. And look, guys, I'm not saying to do that. I'm just,
this is what you did.
This is what I did. But I do still have real estate in the Valley. I still, and I will invest anywhere. But for me, the way that I had things penciled out, I had to 10x it, as Grant says. But I would say just literally, I needed to increase my doors. That was my sole goal. Without doors, it's tough to do. So anyways, long story short, I picked 10 here in town that I wanted to offload, and I offloaded them. And then I turned those 10 into, I think it's 62 doors that I have in Indiana and Alabama. Those
and
are
you
the
1031?
1031, all of them.
So you tax deferred everything.
Tax deferred everything. Tax deferred everything. There's about if I had to run the numbers, I'm guessing it was, the tax deferment was $1.5 million to $2 million, somewhere in there. If I had to go. Of equity that I had earned on those 10 deals. And I took that $1.5 million, $2 million, and I took it. So instead of 10 units, I now have 62, I think it's 62 or 63, but that's including the 2 or 3 that I have here in the Valley. So,
and what did that do for your cash flow?
Tripled it.
So you consolidated it into just a couple properties.
Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing, man. Let me tell you. So when you are able to buy more doors under one roof, right? Or multiple, in one lot.
But one APN.
That saves you a grip of money.
Why? One
property manager, one insurance, one everything, right?
Is it saving you money, or is it saving you headache, or is it both?
It's both.
Wow, I didn't even realize that.
It's both. It's more the headache, but it is both. I will tell you right now. So I'll give you an example. Let me think of one. Birmingham, I've got 20, what was that, 20? I think it's 26 units. 26 units. On-site laundry, totally, completely cleaned up, fixed, ready to go. 2 different parking spots. Property management's charging me 6% on that.
Wow.
And the reason is because he gets another 15 just outside of Birmingham. So what he did was he consolidated. He said, look, I'm going to take, I see this pie, and I'm going to give you less percentage to oversee all of them. Where here in town, I got to pay 8% or $100 minimum, right? So the amount of money I'm saving in property management. So like hypothetically, let's say I had those doors here in California. If I had 50 doors in California, the amount of money that I would be spending on those doors is significantly more just on the property management side. We're not talking insurance, taxes. My God, have we gotten into taxes yet? I mean, the amount of money I'm saving in expenses to do it, to keep it under one roof, is substantial. Yeah. Not only that, but it protects me, right? So if I have 2 tenants, 3 tenants, 4 tenants move out of a 25 unit building, I'm still cash flowing.
You still have 21 tenants paying.
I still have 21 tenants paying, and they're paying for the 4 that haven't, that moved out, right? And so I have a 28 step process that I wrote that I live by when I buy real estate. And maybe on the next one we do together, I'll bring that in.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure some of the viewers would like it. I've given it to some, so actually one of the guys in my mastermind, he's in St. George, Utah. I gave it to him. He won't do anything else with it. I mean, that's the same deal. That's his ride or die. And if it doesn't check off 28 boxes, then we don't do the deal.
I'd like to see that.
I would absolutely like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to be a little bit selfish and ask a question just on our behalf. Obviously, so we had at one point 9 doors out in Indiana, all single family, right? We're now down to 5. It's been a little over 3 years that we've had these. And I don't think we're still fully stabilized. We're still having to feed these things. I'm curious what some of the factors would be when you talk about consolidating and maybe 1031ing into something that's more productive or different. What are some of the factors you'd look at? Let's take these 5 doors, for example, to see when's the time. What are the factors to say, okay, yeah, let's get rid of these ones we're feeding and transfer it into something a little better.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so let's talk about that for a minute. You got 5 single families. So that's one thing I would not do. Just single families. I did do it, but you guys are at a whole different level. You don't need to do single families anymore. You guys need to upgrade to apartments. I've done, aside from the Airbnb that we talked about before we got on scene, like that deal, fuck, if you can find 30 of those, sign me up. Like those are real deals. But with you guys being where you're at, there's no reason why you should have 5 single families. Like if it were me, I would take those 5 and turn it into 20, a 1 unit, 20 apartment building or whatever the case may be.
A single 20 unit apartment.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the case may be, 2 12s.
Well, what we're dealing
120,
with,
doesn't matter.
What we're dealing with is kind of frustrating. It's just been like, you have 5 single family homes. That means you have 5 separate roofs at different timelines. You have 5 separate electrical.
Yeah.
You have 5 separate plumbing houses, like plumbing situations. Like we've just had a lot of miscellaneous BS.
Yeah.
And
that's what you're going to find doing that.
But they cash flow.
They cash flow. Doesn't mean that the 20 unit or the 15 unit wouldn't either. You know what I mean? It's just about finding the right one. I will tell you this. You could do one of 2 ways. If you want to get in and go, and this is just for the viewers. If you want to get in and go, start with a single family. Like if you don't have any money or little money and you want to get into the real estate game, go buy a single family unit. Cash flow $300 or $400 a month. Okay. Fantastic. If you want to take real estate investing to a whole nother level, what I would recommend is buying. You could do one of 2 things. You could buy a bunch of single family homes, sit on them for a 5 to 6 year period, and then go ahead and offload those into apartments. The end goal is apartments. I don't care what anybody tells you. End goal is apartments. Okay. If you look at where our world is heading, it's more rent friendly. Interest rates are up. Nobody wants to buy right now. People are renting. They can get up and go every year when they want. These millennials, what are you guys anyways?
I think we're Gen
Gen
Z.
Pop or Gen Fuck?
We're Gen Z.
You're Gen Z. Okay. I don't even know what I am. Am I a millennial?
iPad kid.
I'm old. What is a 36-year-old? Is that millennial?
You're a millennial.
Millennial.
Yeah.
Fuck that
You're
guy.
a young millennial.
Yeah, fuck that guy. I'm not a millennial. I like tequila too much to be a millennial. Those guys are just sipping White Claws and shit. There he is. Yeah.
There we go.
The tangerine's got the tangy. There's so many different ways to invest in real estate, which I think is extremely exciting. But I think you've got to. So this is what I would recommend. Come up with a vision, a 20-year vision, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take 20 years. So like when I do my real estate sales with my team, hey, we're doing 5-year visions, right? We're doing a year vision right on the spot, and we're doing 5-year visions for the business. But I think in real estate investing, you've got to come up with a 20-year vision. What do I want my portfolio to look like in 20 years? I think that's a legitimate thing you have to do. Otherwise, you don't fucking know what you're doing. You're all over the place. This deal looks good. Let me go buy it. This deal looks good. Let me go buy it. Now, all of a sudden, you've got 2 single families, 3 apartments, an industrial complex, and a commercial building, and none of it fucking works. You know what I'm saying? Like find out what your niche is going to be. Mine's apartments. That's my baby, but it doesn't mean that it has to be everybody else's. Like I've got a very wealthy friend who wants to do commercial. And he wants me to find the deals for him and do. Oh my God, like, can I? And I'm like, I want to shake you. I want to seriously shake you. But that's what he knows. So I get it. We'll do the commercial deal. But I think you got to find what that vision looks like. Find your vision, and then go do it. Go execute it. Run the play, like I talk about. What's your 20? If your 20-year vision is, hey, I want to own 100 doors. Great. Run the play. What are you going to do to get started? Well, let's say I'm going to pick up 5 single families. I'm going to rent them out for 5 years, and then hopefully the market appreciates, and then I'm going to sell them. I'm going to 1031 exchange these things. I'm going to go buy an apartment building. Now I own 20 units. Perfect. Okay. Now I got 20 units. I'm going to rent this thing out. Now we're 3 years in. I'm going to rent the 20 units. I'm going to do some appreciations. I'm going to raise the rents. And let's say in another 3 years, you're going to sell that and you're going to go to 40 units, right? You're almost halfway to your goal, and you're what, year 5? Like, there's opportunity out there everywhere. You just have to, every person has their own idea of what investing in real estate looks like. And stop following and, dude, everybody's got their own thing, man. And that's my recommendation is don't keep up with the Joneses, whatever that fucking bullshit saying is. Do you. Like, you've got, okay, are you single? Do you have a family? Do you have kids? How is that going to all play into your investment strategy, guys? It's not one-stop shop. And so that I kind of get on this wagon of, well, this guy did this and this guy did that. And that's fantastic for them. Does it model match what you're trying to accomplish? Well, no. Then what the fuck are we looking at him for? Get off Instagram, and I call it Instabang, but get off Instagram, okay? Get off Instabang and Face Tweet and whatever the fuck it is that you guys watch to get this education, and literally sit down with Scott Farrow and Cade Barrett and come up with a freaking game plan. This shit's not difficult.
No, it's not.
It's not difficult. It's just not easy either. You know what I mean? When I say it's not easy, that actually requires time.
Yeah.
We always say it's simple, but it's
simple,
not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not
simple, but it's not easy.
And that's the perfect way to put it, right? Because you guys are smarter than I am. But that's the way that I would put it is, if you come up with a plan and you stay to the plan, you execute the plan, you're going to be successful in the investment side. No doubt. However, I will tell you, you've got to have another driver that is going to feed the investments. And what I mean by that is you got to have side income. You got to have side hustle. Otherwise, you're not going to ever get it up off the ground. So if you are thinking about just diving into real estate investment, now you guys are the freaking phenomenally, but you take it as a full-time job. This is my concern for the consumer, is that they don't see the ins and outs of you on the phone all day long putting deals together that you guys are doing, because that's what that income is feeding. The Airbnb that you told me about, that's a fucking home run. I mean, dude, can we get out to South Bend?
You don't want to go to South Bend.
We don't want to go to
South
Bend? Okay.
Not in December.
My mom lives out in that area. I mean, shit, she'd be real happy if I went and visited her, but if it's snowing, man, no thank you.
Yeah.
But I think there's just, run your play. Put it together. What does 5 years, 10 years, 20 years look like? Run the play. Don't get distracted by outside noise. Who our next president's going to be? Who's doing this? What are rates going to do? Look, guys, those are shit we can't control. We can't control any of that. But what we can control is our emotions, our finances, and make sure that those are all very dialed in for when it comes time to do it. So that would be another niche of like, hey, guys, set it aside. Set it aside. It's nuts and bolts. It's numbers when it comes to investing, and you can't get emotional with it. But you've got to find income. Like, if somebody comes to me and is like, I want to invest in real estate. Okay, well, what do you do for a living? Nothing. I just want to invest in real estate. Get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not even doing this with you. Like, what? You want to invest in real estate with no money? Look, I get it. There are deals out there, like the one we just did in Reedley. I ended up, refinancing that out. I'm in it for zero. Not a tank, not a dollar. We'll make $32,000 on it. We can talk about that, but I get those deals. But if you're going to invest in real estate, apartments and things like that, dude, you got to have money. And and it's not fair for them not to know that, the consumer. That's not fair. Like I find, these guys get on Instagram or tweet or twat or whatever it is, and they, hey, we're gonna tweet.
Definitely not a millennial, bro.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm too old for this shit. I'm too old for it. Tweet twat. Elon, my boy. Shout out to Elon. But yeah, I mean, he gets, these guys get on. I paid $0 and I own 50 units. Fuck you.
It's not been my experience.
Yeah.
No.
And if you do find somebody that does that, holler at me.
I want to pick their brain.
We need to pick their brain. Now, are there flips and stuff and private money? And 100%. We do those all day long. That's easy stuff. In and
That
out.
generates income.
Yeah,
usually.
that generates income. But you're okay. Look, yeah. I mean, no bank is. Yeah, I don't know where they're coming up with this. I will tell you. So one of the ones in Mobile, I'll just use this one as an example to do something tricky with real estate. So what I did was I found a local investor. I say, hey, I'm buying Mobile's 16 units. I said, hey, I'm buying 16 units. I need it fully funded and I will cover the rehab. Okay. And they're like, cool. I think the purchase price was $500, $495. Doesn't matter. They fully fronted the cash. Hard money, 10% interest. He's like, you got 2 years to get it cleaned up. Cool. I took then so we closed on the deal. I got every tenant out, moved every one of those motherfuckers out and said, okay, there's 16 units. I'm going to do 10 right away. Okay. I'm going to do 10. So I don't know, 4 months go by, 10 units are done. Put tenants in for the 10 units at $950, I think it was $900 a month. We're renting them out. So that's that's $9,000 a year or a month. My mortgage payment on the principal on the hard money is nothing. I mean, that was easy. So then I call the bank that I had a relationship with out in Alabama for the other two. And I said, hey, I'm ready to refinance this. I got 6 vacancies because we're fixing them up, but I got 10 that are rolling. He goes, let me run the numbers. Numbers are good. He goes, I can fund on this. I go, all right. The deal I paid for was $500. I'm in it for $250. So I paid $25,000 per unit. Completely dialed in. Talking granite countertops, all new cabinets, the whole.
Yeah. So you're in it for $750 plus interest.
So I'm in it for $750 plus interest. The refi, so appraisal comes back 1.1. I got $800 on the refi.
So you made all your money back.
All my money back and $50,000, which then just pays for the 2 more units that I didn't do, that I will do.
And you use cash flow to fix up the other ones.
I just cash flow to fix up the other ones. So yes, there are ways to do it. Okay. You just got to have relationships. You got to have lenders. You got to have the right people in place.
And you wouldn't have gotten the loan had you not had experience.
No, it wouldn't. No, shit, no. I mean, but that takes time, guys. But so what? It takes time. Start in the mud early. And let's go do it. I did that for 2 of the 3 apartments in Alabama. The one in Indiana was so good. Here's my money. Let's go do this. So anyways, there's a lot of options in real estate. There's a lot of cool things that go on in this game. I would tell whoever's listening, you guys got a handle on this, man. I mean, you really do. So if anybody has questions, I would say, I love picking your brain, man. I love picking your brain. I mean, you guys are what, 20? Are we allowed to say that on?
Yeah, I'm 25.
They're fucking young.
Yeah.
Okay. But either way, I mean, if I could have been in your shoes at 24, 25, oh my God.
Sounds like you were.
Yeah, but not in this market.
How do people get a hold of you if they're curious about the apartment stuff? Because some of the people listening have units and they may be curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to help, whatever I can do. I mean, I enjoy that part of it. I mean,
what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Instagram?
No,
Insta tweet?
Can I just here's my number, okay, because I'm old. It's 559-970-0338. 559-970-0338. The Instagram is for Danny Grubb, just the number 4 Danny Grubb. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, want to bounce any ideas, we've helped a lot of people, and it's been a lot of fun.
Dude, I'm glad we got you on. I'm glad we got you on. This took a long time to convince you, so I'm glad it worked.
Well, now that I'm on, I'm like, hey, bro, we should do this again.
I did. See, that's all it took.
We should do this again.
I did feel like it's just getting started. We just got to run it back.
We'll be back next week with Danny Grubb on the Pursuit of Property podcast. See you guys.
Love you, boys.